Kathy Keegan, and I'm so excited. She is just one of the most delightful coaches and human beings I've ever had the privilege to know. And Kathy, you're so fun, and I just feel like you bring so much to your clients. Can you just tell us a little bit about how you've helped people who were like, maybe they were in a corporate job and they were just really struggling?
Yeah, I sure can. I have a fair amount of experience at this myself because, my husband and I were just talking the other day, and he was reminding me about the crying I did when I wasn't at work over the years. And I had forgotten about that because, as you think about your story and you think about the transitions you've made, you don't necessarily remember all that stuff.
Right.
And so it was, for me, it actually ended up becoming like life or death, which isn't that funny. But it's also funny because I couldn't hear the wake-up calls. I had these wake-up calls that were so loud, most other people would have said, hey, you know what, Kath? I think this is the answer. So the answer is to leave. So what happened to me was, I get this cancer diagnosis. Now you would think that I've been stressed out for all these years, I get this cancer diagnosis, maybe it's time to leave the corporate world. And I think, wow, everyone reacted at work so nicely, they're so supportive. I think I can make it work here. I really think I can. That's what I'm supposed to do. And most other people would be like, jump, go, get out of there. And so it took a few more wake-up calls before I finally left. But it also, I have this sense of wanting to give something a try. We don't always know that. As human beings, it can be really, really hard to know when to quit. A lot of times we'll go back and we'll be like, I should have done this then. If only I'd done that. And I have to tell you, I developed a tool for myself before I left my job that actually has helped me not look back and think I did something wrong, because I know myself so well. I'm the kind of person who will say, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and then I'll look back and say, that was a bad idea. What were you thinking, right? And I would see people who I'd hired on the job, they'd start, and then a few months in, they'd be like, I'm not so sure. And so I thought, this is a very human thing. So one day I sat down and I wrote a letter to future Kathy.
Ooh.
And I said, okay, here we are. You have an office on Fifth Avenue. You're making a really good salary. And I put down all this good stuff. And then I said, what's not to love? Why would you want to leave this?
What's not to love?
Right. And then the list of how tough it was, the way people were treating each other, the way I felt not heard, all those kinds of things. So I wrote everything down. And when I finished the letter, I pretty much just put everything down. I ended up creating this tool that prevented me from going coulda, woulda, shoulda. You know how people will do that to themselves? Because I read this letter a year after I left, and when I looked at it, because it was a year after I left, that I was like, maybe this wasn't such a good idea. But then I read the letter and I was like, yeah, I know what I did. The decision I made at the time was the best decision I could have made with all the tools I had at my available to me.